Hey, what's up guys, it's Greg, and I'm here with my third entry in the series of my medical journey videos. And today we'll be talking about being admitted to the hospital. We finished up the last video with talking about the night before, all the things that were going on and all the side effects that were in full force at this point. So I eventually made it through the night. I really didn't sleep at all. By the time the morning came, I was, even worse off than I was, 8 or 9 hours earlier. So Sunday morning, my wife went to church, and all I really remember is just laying on the couch and just trying not to think about all the pain and discomfort that I was going through. So my wife made me breakfast when she got home from church. I felt like if I had eaten something, it might make me feel better or whatever, give me some more strength. At this point, I was really just doing anything to try to make myself feel better. So I started eating, sat down, started eating, and after about probably 3 or 4 bites, I felt like I was going to be sick to my stomach. The nausea was coming on, I was sweating at that point. So I go to the bathroom, I'm about ready to kneel down to the toilet, the porcelain toilet, and that's basically all I remember at that point. Basically what happened was I passed out, smacked my head on the edge of the toilet bowl, and essentially just passed out, on the floor in the bathroom. My wife heard the noise, came running. I guess according to her, I was out cold for about a minute or so. And she was, shaking me, calling my name, and that's what I woke up to. So at this point, obviously something was really, really wrong. We both agreed that I needed to go to the emergency room. I was concerned initially when I woke up from passing out was that I couldn't feel my legs for a few minutes after waking up. But fortunately, the feeling did come back, and I was able to get up. I took a shower, which may sound crazy considering, the shape that I was in, but, shower made me feel good. It gave me a little bit of relief. And after that, we drove down the street to the hospital, to the ER. Now, when we got to the ER, I looked okay. I felt terrible inside with the trouble breathing and the chest pain and the stomach pain and everything else, but I was still able to walk. I was, I was conscious. I could think, I could speak. I didn't have any trouble, aside from struggling to breathe, when I was walking. That was, really the only thing that you could tell by looking at me. So we got to the ER, and initially when I get admitted, they're thinking it's not that serious. They had just looked at me, took my temperature and a few other things, and those things really weren't off too much. However, once they started taking blood pressure, heart rate, taking blood, things started to get a little more concerning. My heart rate was significantly up. My blood pressure was significantly up. And so this initial round of tests triggered a whole bunch more tests to try to figure out what the heck was going wrong. So one of the first tests they did next was an X-ray of my chest. They also did, took blood samples, did another strep throat test. Those were, kind of really the main tests they initially did. And as the results started coming back, the concern among the nurses and doctors started to increase. It first started when we got the results of my X-ray back, and I remember this so well. Laying in bed, and the nurse had they have a computer screen on this, in the room, and it's typically next to the bed, and she pulled the X-ray up on the screen, and I turned around, to kind of just see if I could catch a glance of it, and I did, and it was a complete whiteout. You couldn't even see the bones and the ribs, that are typically very visible and white when you look at an X-ray. My X-ray was completely whited out. I could see the look on the nurse's face as, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking at that point, okay, something's really wrong. Either I've got, the worst case of pneumonia possible, or there is something seriously wrong, that's putting me in a serious, life-threatening situation. After the X-rays, the doctors still, they knew there was all this, fluid in my chest, but they weren't sure to the extent. So the next, battery of tests was an echocardiogram of my heart and lungs. And that's basically just an ultrasound. It looks at, the heartbeat, what's going on, how the heart reacting. Is there fluid around the heart? If it's beating really fast, why is it? Sometimes it can reveal things that, that can give the doctors a better indication of what's going on. So we did that, and basically they found a ton of fluid in my heart, around the heart, in the pericardial sac around the heart. And a lot of people can get this. This is something, if you have heart trouble, you can get it. If you have cancer, as we eventually learned, cancer and the tumors can cause it. Specifically for me, I had what they call a pericardial effusion, which is fluid in that pericardial sac around the heart. And then I also had a pleural effusion, which is fluid in the lungs. So as they're kind of doing all their tests to figure out kind of the scope of everything, we did the echocardiogram, some additional X-rays, and at this point it's the afternoon of the Sunday. And I'm continuing to get worse. Initially, when I got in the ER, I was able to, at least, sit or lay down, and, sort of look relatively normal. But probably around 2 or 3 o'clock, my heart rate started to jump, all of my vitals, oxygen, blood pressure, everything just started going haywire. They did another echocardiogram because it had been a few hours since the last one, and they saw that the fluid in my heart and lungs was rapidly building. And at this point, this kind of kicked everything into overdrive. The doctor started talking about a situation called cardiac tamponade, which is when essentially it's cardiac failure due to fluid in the heart and lungs. So that's basically what they were afraid of. It's basically what they saw happening kind of in slow motion. So at this point, it's getting to be the early evening, and they come into our room, and they basically tell Maureen and I that we have to operate because there is a significant amount of fluid in the heart. It's going to eventually cause complete cardiac failure. And so I think, this was the first real concrete piece of information that we got, to tell us that something really wrong was happening. They're going in and going to have to remove fluid from my heart. So, we, obviously agreed to do the procedure. I had a friend who was a priest. He stopped by and gave me anointing of the sick. And, as this is all going on, I'm just, trying to believe what the heck is happening. Is this real? What is real? What's not real? Am I really this close to death? And, when you think back on it, you just think, maybe it's a good thing you're not comprehending everything, because it kind of keeps you, from totally freaking out or totally going insane. And yeah, so I definitely, I know I didn't comprehend everything at that point in time, other than that it was really bad and potential life-threatening. I had not thought through all of the potential next steps that might have to occur, such as recovery, long-term effects of this sort of thing, whatever it was, because we didn't know it was cancer. And, I think this is probably a good place to stop for today, but in the next video, which will be coming out very soon, I'm going to be going over essentially the procedure and the aftermath that immediately followed the procedure to remove the fluid from my heart. So once again, I hope you're enjoying the videos. Again, I really enjoy doing this. It's been kind of a labor of love for me, if you will. Once again, if you have any questions, comments that you want me to expand on, leave those in the comments section. And feel free to click subscribe if you like this content, because I'll be doing videos almost every day for this narration video series. And I will see you in the next video.